Hi, my friends. Welcome to Serenity TV. My name is Faith Martins. Today, we have a very, very interesting topic that we are sure, I am very, very certain that you're going to love and you're definitely going to learn from. And of course, we have a guest in the studio. But before I introduce our guest, have you subscribed to our YouTube channel? Have you subscribed? You have not subscribed yet. Why? Why haven't you subscribed? All of the beautiful videos that we've been dropping, you've not seen them. Why? Go subscribe. Make sure you like the videos and drop a comment. And also, you might want to click on the notification bell so that once we drop any video, you, my friend, you'll be the first to actually see the video. Have I told you my name? Let me say it again because I love my name. My name is Faith Martins, and today we're being joined in the studio by a guest who is going to be discussing with us on a very important topic. You're wondering what that topic is. I know. So today's conversation, we are going to be delving into the politics and the governance of Nigeria as a country. And we're going to be highlighting on a vital lifeline of a nation, which are the youths. The youths are an important parcel of government. They sort of have a way of determining what happens in the government. But right now, we cannot really say that is the case for Nigerian youths. And we have lots of questions as regards to that. I do have questions as regards to that. So our guest is going to help us decipher why this happens to be the case. He's a youth. He has participated in student government. He played politics while in school. So that sort of give him the wherewithal to give us some of the highlights as to why we have tons of youth in Nigeria who are not quite interested in the politics of Nigeria. They're not focused on what's happening. They don't even care. We just have, a very, very minute percentage of youth who even, give a crap as regards to what's going on in our country. So we want to understand what that is. We want to also establish a call to action so that youth around the world, youth in Nigeria precisely, can know what to do, because we need to get involved with the governance and the politics of our country, Nigeria. We've been joined by Nnadozie. Good morning.
Good morning, Faith.
Hi, good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good. Good morning, everyone out there.
Hi. So how have you been? Literally, how is Nigeria treating you?
Oh, back and forth.
Back and forth. I love that. I mean, but it's 2026 and we have lots of things, waiting for us in the year. So are you optimistic about some certain things for the year?
With the tax reform, I believe that we're getting somewhere.
Do you think the tax reform was a wonderful, wonderful implementation?
You can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. Did you create wealth? If you have created wealth, I believe that the tax reform wouldn't have been an issue. An average Nigerian doesn't even work in the government. I'm not a public servant, either am I a civil servant. So where am I paying tax from? And where am I paying it to? What am I earning in return? You pay tax for what? Your utility bills now, right? They say in the Senate climbs, you talk about utility bills, you talk about the
water bill,
security, communication, and what have you. Now we pay practically for everything we enjoy in Nigeria. So you pay for your light, you pay for your hospital bills. We are not even insured. And we pay for the communication, we pay for our data, we pay for practically everything. So what are you taxing us for?
Exactly.
What are you taxing us for?
What is even very, very sad is that the things that we get to even pay for, we don't get to enjoy it firsthand.
So what they told us already. For them, I think for the government, they should have just explained to us that they just want to rip us off because you can't be taxing me for something I'm not saying.
Okay, I can tell from your conversation that you're completely against the tax reform. That's cool. That's amazing. So let us shift the narrative. Let's shift the camera to why we're here today. We're here to discuss about the youths of Nigeria. We're talking about how uninterested most of the youth in Nigeria are as regards to the governance of the country, as regards to the politics that is being played in the country. We do not have lots of youth who are quite politically informed as to what the government is doing and what they are not doing. We have youths who are completely, I don't know if it's a case of they've lost hope as to what is happening with the governance. I'm going to throw in a perfect scenario. we had the NSAS protests and we had lots of youth turn up. And, one of the things that they wanted was SARS to be removed from the police agency, right? But in all of that chaos that happened, we also saw the voices of the youth suppressed. We saw that what they wanted, their desire were not met. And I don't know if that could be the case, if that could be the reason why we have lots of youth who are saying, you know what, this government doesn't care about what we have to say. They obviously do not want to hear what we have to say, and they've resigned to fate. So I want you to walk us through the path as to why we do not have lots of youth involved in the politics and in the governance of Nigeria.
Okay. Basically speaking, I think the major problem with our youths and politics is because politics in Nigeria is money-centric, like centered on money. Everything has to do with money, and you can't tell a surviving youth, someone who between the age of 25 to 30, from not an average family, because I don't even feel we have an average family in Nigeria again. So it's either you are rich or you're poor.
Sadly.
So then from that position, you wish to enter politics. I believe most of them that venture into politics is because it is a lucrative venture. And the Nigerian system has made it a lucrative one. So see people who venture into politics not because they wish to be there or play the game of politics, or they enjoy playing politics, or because they just want to make a living for themselves. So basically, it is a no-no for someone who is trying to survive. Aside those who want to make a living out of it, that's the career politicians. Aside that, everyone wants to hustle and then leave the country. That's the trajectory. So you don't expect me to talk about politics in Nigeria when obviously our leaders know what they are doing. Understand? Everybody's shy.
But talking about it, even if we think that the leaders are aware of the fact that they are impoverishing the masses, right? I mean, it's there. But are we going to stop talking? Are we going to stop highlighting on it? Because that seems to be the case right now with our present youth. We do not have people who are quite interested in whatever is happening. It's a case of something is happening in Niger State, something is happening here, and we just come on social media, we just type, and we don't get to even, follow through. And it's a really sad space to be in.
I believe that precedence, they say, is the reason behind most of our futuristic activities and actions. If there has been a way, or there has been a time where the youths speaking up had changed the system of government, or has changed that which the government intends doing, I think we can now start talking about involvement of youth in politics. We were told, I think I started hearing the word leaders of tomorrow right from my foundation days, formative stages and all that. And to date, we are still the leaders of tomorrow, right?
We've not emerged. We've not emerged.
So, and the tomorrow is now. I'm no longer a kid.
Of course.
I have responsibilities. Likewise, you. And you feel that we should keep having hope while we speak against what the government is doing, while we involve ourselves in politics. I for one enjoy politics as a process to good governance, not what Nigeria has made politics look like. Now, the Nigerian context of politics, like I said before, is monetized. It is a game of the rich. Our democracy is for the highest bidder. And as a struggling youth, a youth who wants to participate in politics, is either you join the process, which involves bag carrying for the godfathers, understand, playing the loyalty game to get to a point, or you go make money out there by illegally, and then you join the politics of the day. And this is the system we found ourselves in. Aside this, I think this is the major reason why nobody wants to participate in politics, because that which has been repeating right from when we were still kids is still obtainable to date. Nothing has changed. We keep recycling those leaders back and forth. The current president of Nigeria was in 2003 a governor of a state.
Yeah.
And to date, he is still in active politics.
Mm.
In 2003, if I should check my age back then, I was still in primary school, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And now, the man I used to hear in 2003 as the governor of Lagos State is the current president of Nigeria. And then, what happens to the people who must have worked with him? I think he had young people around him. Where are they currently? How many of them are still in the system?
Yeah.
How many of them have gotten to the stage where they can say, okay, I can do this and I can do that? I'm not saying he has not tutored any. I'm saying that most of them are still under him when he should have been out of the picture and then they taking over, right? No, but he's still in charge. At 90 something or 70 something or 80 something that he is. We don't even know his real age. That's the truth of the matter. The system has made it so difficult for the youth to grow up. And then venturing into politics, you see yourself spanning for like 30 years back and forth in it before you could get to a point where and the few that must have submerged or better still, let me use the word, scaled through are from formidable homes. It's either your father was rich, a politician, or has connections. It must have placed you to a position at that young age. Aside this, you see yourself rigmaroling in it. So people feel like, oh, this is not something I should do. But if the youths are all tired of the system, because the system has made it so difficult to survive under it as a patriotic citizen. So everybody is just trying to make a means for themselves in any possible way. So this, I feel, is the major reason why nobody wants to involve themselves in politics. They just shy away from it. I'm like, now them now. It's still the same people now. Nothing has changed.
Yeah. But then again, that is quite I would call it a thievery of what is supposed to come to us. I don't know if that word is in the dictionary, but it is, the process being distorted. Instead of us to go in a certain direction, there is this form of stagnancy that has bedeviled the nation, and there's a stunted growth, right? When it comes to the things that we should have achieved. And I think that's a very major problem. And I don't know how we're going to go about it. And I think I also need for you to maybe throw in more light as to how we need to move from here. How do we need to move as youth? Because it is okay for you to say, yeah, we don't want to get involved because we've seen that our voices no longer matter. But we cannot continue that way. If a country is going to progress, we need to have every single body involved, most especially the youth, because they have the vigor, they have the power to move the country to where it ought to be. And their involvement matters. Now you have already thrown a light and when you said that if you see any youths up there in politics or practicing actively, first of all, we don't have a very young person that is a governor. We don't have, a young person, aside from, Ebonyi State governor, for instance, and maybe one or two other governors.
Yahaya Bello from, I think, Kogi State, if I'm not mistaken.
Yahaya Bello, as a young governor.
I think he was one of the youngest governors at that time.
At what age was that?
I can't figure it out, but I know he was the youngest as at the time he was governor.
Okay. But then again, we just have few young governors. So who are the people who are supposed to say, the youth, you can achieve this once you put your mind to it? Now, we only have people from, prominent backgrounds coming out to be somebody in the political space. And then there is nothing for the average man. The one who has to struggle, the one who understands the voice of the people because he has walked the street. There is absolutely nothing for the young person. And these are the issues, honestly. So I want you to please kindly highlight on what the youth ought to do, as opposed to just, complaining, talking, resorting to fate, just agreeing and going with the flow and vibing online and chatting. I don't have a problem with vibing online because I feel like that's okay. I mean, but then again, we need to be more involved. And if we're not going to be given the capacity to show forth, we will need to demand for it and not just ask. So how do we as youth begin to demand for what is rightfully ours in the political space?
Okay. Firstly, I think as a youth, your first question you should ask yourself when you want to double into politics is how do I go about it? And then, just like we're talking about Nigerian context, you don't bring in. The thing is, you don't bring in. And we did in school. There is what we call comparative politics, and we have international politics, we have geopolitics, and all these are centered on the system of governance and system of politics of different countries. And Nigeria as a third world country is not, our politics is not what politics is supposed to be. And if you want anyone to join this system of politics, you must be ready for everything. Understand? Our politics involves thuggery, our politics involves money, our politics involves godfatherism, our politics involves being stereotyped, our politics involves bad propaganda, negative PR. It involves all these vices and elements. And if you're ready for it, if you're ready for it, then you are ready for Nigerian politics. It's not.
So it has to be deadly.
It's not a game of where I should. It's not
do the right thing.
It's not Nelson Mandela type of politics where I had a dream or Martin Luther speaking up and all that. No, it's not that type of politics. It's way bigger. It's way dirtier, messier than what we see in the real light. And as a Nigerian youth, I feel when you start asking questions, that's one point. When you start asking questions about or holding our government accountable, I think we've started the process. And then secondly, it's possible if we as youths could, in those numbers, those energy we channel on Twitter and the rest of the media to type, tweet, WhatsApp and do the rest of them, we could bring it down to the local levels. We will start questioning our PGs in the communities. We will start questioning our councillors. We will start questioning our local government chairman. I feel we've started the process. And then we will start identifying and associating ourselves with a particular ward or political party in the local level. I believe we've started the process. You don't just sit back and be like, the country is messing up. But the revolution starts with us, each and every one of us. If you can actually, in our numbers, let's say, if 100 persons from my community who are youth from 25 to 35, come together, join a political party, then in the world level, and you see that we have already in our numbers outnumbered the number of the older persons there, no matter how much they feel they have. Understand? Then collectively trying to reach a center, because you can't put something on nothing and expect it to stand. There must be a goal. There must be an objective. There must be an aim. And which is what? To unseat or to usurp that which is already seated. Now to unseat them, you must play the game they play and play it better. You can't just fold your hands and feel that the government or Nigeria will be better tomorrow without making an impact in it. And your impact is not by building charity foundations. Yes, that's one thing is good. Or online activism is equally another one. But bear it in mind that no matter how you speak out to the rest of the world, geopolitics is different. Countries only involve themselves in lesser countries or affairs of other countries when their interests align. Nobody wants to hear you and nobody is ready for that thing you're saying. You have to fight yourself out here, in this country. And to do that, you must go through these processes. You don't just wake up and be like, we did it in NSAS now. What was the turn up? What was the aftermath? Many lost their lives. Properties were lost. And then at the end of the day, the SARS did quench. Where they just disbanded and then recycled back to other units. None of them faced the law of whatever they did it ended that way. Save Nigeria came, hashtag Save Nigeria. What did we achieve in it? And you see that it is those same people who you feel should speak up for you gets to go away with it. They end up being compromised at the end of the day. And what have you? You go back to what? Square one. So the youths are already, I think the Nigerian youth, or an average Nigerian youth, is already tired of the country itself.
Yeah, they've lost hope.
They're already tired of the country. So for you to bring them back to, factory setting, or rather be like, okay, we could come back to this thing, what would they do? You guys give them hope and reasons for them participating in it. And another point, until governance in Nigeria is made less lucrative, I don't think anything will change. Because if you bring that youth who has been trying to survive into limelight, you see that he wants to enrich his coffers first. Because he's coming from what? A very bad place. He needs to enrich his coffers. And he'll be like, let me do this thing first too. Let me cover up this part. And then I will want to attend to one or two things. So until you make it less lucrative, it shouldn't be a full-time job. Yeah, politics is not a career. Yes, you know that partly everyone wants to answer the word a politician, but then the process of politics, it is never a career. It's something that you come together, you do, and then you go back to what you do again. And then when time comes, you come back and do it again. It's just like, it's a process. It's not the end thing. It's not a career. When Nigeria be like, I'm a career politician, I'm like, is politics a business? So governance is now a business when it should be. When we did, what's it called? Post 101 in school and all that, I'd be like, they told us it's government of the people, by the people,
and for the people.
Where people come select their leaders. And if you practice, or rather, there's the, what's it called? The social contract theory, the creation of states. You see that it was a group, that is we, me, you, and every other person agreeing to form a Kura, to form this state and then get a leader that would lead us within ourselves. The leader was not picked from anywhere. It was still within the same circle of people that formed the state. Now, that is not the case in Nigeria. Those people you elected are no longer there to give back to the state, but rather they are there to enrich their coffers. And as long as the Nigerian government or Nigerian governance or governance in Nigeria is made to be so lucrative, nothing good will come out of it.
Well, thank you very much. That was such a full session, and I really like the angles that you touched. One thing stands firm. Youths of Nigeria, we need to start holding our leaders accountable. We need to put in more effort into the governance of the country. We need to be more attentive to what's going on in the political space. The government, I honestly think that the government thrives just because we don't have lots of youth who are much more interested in what's happening. There are some things that that just slide through the water. There are some promises that are being made. For instance, the other day, what was it? Yesterday, there were some kidnapping done in a church. There was a kidnapping scene done in a church in Kaduna State. And then the police, which is supposed to be a trusted body, the police who we are supposed to listen to, who would say a word and would say, because he came from the police, we believe the police, came out to debunk that story. Now, debunking that story only for the kidnapped, the people that were abducted, their kidnappers decided to call and ask for ransom. And it is when we started hearing about the ransom, that was when we got to know that whatever was debunked by the police was actually what happened. Now, where is the apology? Nothing. Literally, governance is just going left, right, and center when it's not supposed to be that way. So the youths of Nigeria, that is a clarion call. We need to put in more efforts. We need to let go of our keypads and make sure that we're much more involved. We're holding our leaders accountable and we're putting in the work that we need to put in. Thank you so much for listening to this. We appreciate you. Have yourself a very, very wonderful one. You want to say maybe a final word?
Yeah, I want to add a final word. And another thing, I think as youths in Nigeria, we should, the call should be more of being the deciders and not just the participators. Yeah. Because if you're able to decide what happens around you, I think you're a key. It's a key factor. So we should take up rules in communities. We should be able to take up positions, not just being the ones to vote. And for you to take up positions, start from the grassroots. You don't just jump from A to K and you expect yourself to. There are so many processes missed along the way. So many processes that you missed along the way because of what you jumped those experiences. So I believe that we will start by
being the people who decide than people who just
picking up rules and then making ourselves available. Not for the politicians to use. Yeah, that's another one. You don't make yourself available for politicians to use, but rather you make yourself available because you know what you can offer. And what are you offering? You're offering your services. If I know secular politics is different from student unionism, but what we call it unionism is because as at the time we were there, it was more like services. You don't have security votes. Nobody pays you for it. I know maybe some state universities or federal universities pay their SCGs, but you're not paid while we were in school. So whatever you did in school, you did for the students. And the students were your priority. You wake up at 12 midnight, be like, I had a call. Something is happening here. They are robbing the student who stayed there. Or they are doing that there. You rush out. You call the police. You do that. You involve yourself in all those things. Because of what? There is one thing in mind. Service to humanity. So until we understand this part as a youth, as a country, that we are called to serve and not called to loot our national So until then, I believe that the mindset, when your mindset changes about a thing, it becomes different. Because when you have built an opinion that if I'm coming into politics, I'm coming to make money, automatically nothing else matters to you outside the money.
I agree.
Yeah. So when you change your mindset about what you're going to do there, I think you stand out from the lot. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much to our guests for coming. We really appreciate you. This was a lovely conversation. As a youth, I'm sure that you've heard him. We have to be people who decide. Don't just participate. Don't just allow yourself to be used. Okay? You have quite a lot to offer. Then why let them give you peanuts for something that you deserve to be paid well for? Why allow them give you peanuts and give you an activity or a job that you're supposed to get way higher for when you do what you ought to do? When we make the country better, when we align the focus of this country, we can achieve more than maybe your 1 million or your 2 million during the election period. We have the mandates and we need to make sure that we deliver on the mandates, because if we do not, we're going to recycle a generation who will keep complaining about the government and do absolutely nothing, because they've looked upon us and they've seen that we didn't do anything. We only went on social media and we called out the president, we called out the governor. We did not put in anything into perspective to make sure that we get the Nigeria that our children deserve. Do this and make sure that you continue to do it. Thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. We love you. Bye.